Hi, my name is Thom Mills, and I'd like to share with you tonight a bit of a story of my relationship, renovation, rehab. And my story really starts back in the home farm that I grew up on many years ago. It was a great space to grow up on, lots of area, lots of property. You know, I would spend time, we did lots of work. There was place for dirt bikes. Never quite had a dirt bike. Had a moped though at one point in time, and the dirt bike is coming. But just great opportunities in that space. And I got married, had a few kids. In fact, I have 4 kids now, and we found ourselves in a town called Newmarket. And you know, it was good. It was a nice house. There was lots of property around, but it just wasn't quite the farming experience that I knew growing up. And what I really want to share with you in this whole story is how moving back to the home farm and the renovation project that I did there was an opportunity to not only have a renovation of the home, but it was a renovation of the relationship with my wife as well. So, you know, the kids, we would go back to the farm now and then, and they enjoyed their time and space there. There was a trampoline on the property, and they would jump on the trampoline and have a great time doing those kinds of things. But one day I said to them, you know what, guys? We're going to head back to the farm, and this time we're staying there. Well, we all loaded into the van and got out to the farm, and they looked at me a little puzzled, you know, because the house that was on the property there, it really wasn't that big. You know, in fact, part of the plan was to move into this space, to put an addition on the house. My parents were living there. As I said, I had 4 kids, so we were a family of 6. It was going to be 8 people in the home, and the home just wasn't quite big enough for that. So it really did need not only some renovations, but it needed an addition on it as well. And so it was going to take about a year is what we figured it was going to take to do this project. And we thought, well, that's cool. We can spend that year in what we affectionately called our cottage. Now you see, the cottage was a space that, it was about 15 feet wide by about 25 feet long. It even had a little outhouse out the back. It wasn't meant to be a long-term living situation. We figured we could rough it for about a year. And so everyone was pretty happy with this idea. We even had some tents out the back for them to camp out in. My kids loved camping, and this was just going to be fantastic because it was going to be a great camping opportunity. Well, this all worked pretty well, but shortly we noticed, well, it actually took about 2 weeks before the camping thing was starting to run its course. Well, what we thought was going to be a 1-year project actually turned into a 3-year project. And we found ourselves, about 3 years in that cottage, but that's a completely different story. Well, the renovation project began. And as we started the project, both the project and my relationship with my wife were in for some big changes. And that's where our renovation relationship rehab had begun. So now you might be thinking, renovations, relationships, these things don't normally go together. We've all heard stories where people start into a renovation project, and before you know it, a separation has happened, a divorce is right around the corner, things have gone completely south. And there's no doubt there's an opportunity for that. But there's also an opportunity to create great new things. And that was what happened with us. You know, there are 3 main areas to start with in a renovation project. And this was where we started focusing on. We wanted to do a renovation project that really addressed not only our living space, but addressed energy issues as well. So we started with our furnace. You know, the furnace that was in the house was 15, 20 years old. It wasn't really that efficient when it was installed, and it was time to get that furnace replaced. It was old and inefficient, and it needed to come out. That's where we started. We started by replacing our old and inefficient furnace. What did we replace it with? Well, we replaced it with a radiant floor heating system in the addition. We replaced it with something completely new and different. You know, radiant floor heating, if you've ever experienced it, it is fantastic. The heat just kind of comes up from the floor. It's not hot. It's just really comfortable and keeps everything warm. Adding into that mix, we had a wall-hung boiler, computer controls, and that all just came together to create an overall heating system that was really new and efficient. Well, around that same time, we started realizing that there were some things going on in our relationship that were kind of old and inefficient too. They needed to be replaced. They needed to be almost taken out the door. Some things for us in our life, we would go out on dates, but sometimes they weren't that great. Just some habits that we had moved into over a number of years that we needed to change up. So what did that look like for us? There was an opportunity to start getting away. We got away on a Caribbean vacation that was fantastic. We started getting out, dancing, even taking some staycations, just a weekend here or there. Just time to get away for the two of us and to connect. It was the start of our relationship rehab. So now going back to the house, we've replaced the old and inefficient furnace and we've replaced it with something completely new. But now that we've done that, our second opportunity is for insulation. And that really is the second place you want to look at in your house as well. You know, there are two main areas to address insulation. First place is up in your attic. Lots of space up there, oftentimes isn't well insulated. It may have been well insulated when it was done the first time, but if your house is a little older, some of that insulation can have gotten moved around by winds that come through the soffits. It could be some animals that have gotten up there and disturbed it all. It's a perfect opportunity to go and increase the insulation up there. The second opportunity is in your basement. In our case, we had a stone wall foundation basement that had absolutely no insulation at all. In your case, it might be a home that has been built within the last 20 years, where oftentimes the insulation came down to about 4 feet, and then there's just concrete down below that. In both cases, we're talking about areas where the heat in the basement just kind of seeps through the concrete, out into the dirt on the other side, and it just kind of seeps right through, escaping all that heat out through your basement. Two main areas, your attic and your basement. And this is what we went after in our project. Increasing the insulation in our attic to an R50 and putting insulation in the basement, rubble wall foundation that kept the heat in the basement there. Well, talking about keeping the heat in, the fact is some of the changes that we'd made in our relationship were creating heat. And the way that we kept on improving on these things was all about keeping the heat in the relationship. That was where we found our relationship was changing. Things were changing for us, the dynamic between us was just getting better, and it was really creating some heat and some connection, which was fantastic. Third main area in your home renovation then is recreation. You know, we have replaced the old inefficient furnace, we've added insulation, and each one of these steps has been putting money back into our pocket. Each month, we're saving money. And with that money, there's an opportunity to invest. An opportunity to invest in, it could be the new granite countertop in the kitchen that has always been wanted. It could be that basement space that you insulated. Now it's warm and comfortable, and you can actually finish off that basement and create a real livable space down there as well. It is an opportunity to invest and recreate. For us, we did that in the kitchen space as well as an office space that we wanted to add into the renovation project. It's an opportunity to recreate. In a similar way in our relationship, there was opportunity to recreate as well. All these steps that we had been making was creating more connection between us. It was creating better communication. It was creating great stuff as our relationship continued to be renovated. You know, things were going great between the two of us, but it wasn't just affecting my wife and I. There were changes and dynamics that my kids were picking up on as well. You know, back in the cottage, we were all bundling up in that space, especially during the winters. Many layers, lots of layers on the bed. It really was about trying to keep warm. Now the kids are in the house and they're warm and comfy. You know, they're wearing t-shirts, you know, the loose pajama pants, it really is about being warm and comfortable. You know, it really is about the renovation of the two, both in our home and in our relationship. The home has had an addition put on it. We've renovated so many spaces. The fact is, in almost any renovation, there's always more that can be done. And there's more that can be done for both our home and our relationship. What I'd like to leave you with is the idea that the next time you're moving into a renovation in your home, not only is it an opportunity for your home, but there's an opportunity to renovate your relationship as well.